हेलो एवरीवन। आज हम क्लास 9th हिस्ट्री का चैप्टर नंबर 4 फॉरेस्ट सोसाइटी एंड द कॉलोनिज्म का वीडियो स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं। इस वीडियो में हम क्वेश्चन आंसर्स को पढ़ेंगे जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है। तो चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं वीडियो को। शॉर्ट आंसर्स। क्वेश्चन नंबर 1, एक्सप्लेन what is shifting cultivation? Why did European foresters regard this practice as harmful for forest? Answer: a method of farming in which a patch of ground is cultivated for a period of few years until the soil is partly exhausted or overrun by weeds, and after which the land is left to natural vegetation while cultivation is carried elsewhere. Shifting cultivation made it harder for the government to calculate taxes. Therefore, the government decided to ban shifting cultivation. European foresters regarded this practice as harmful for the forest. They felt that land which was used for cultivation every few years could not grow trees for railway timbers. There was also the added danger of the flames spreading and burning valuable timber. Next question. Who were Samanists? Mention if two methods used by the Samanists to revolt against the Dutch. Answer: the Samanists let down on the land when the Dutch surveyors came to reclassify communal and salary lands and used to cry out Congo, I own it. They refused to pay taxes, fines, to accept wages, and to leave rented or communal land when their leases expired. Next question. What change one can observe toward forest policy since 1980s? Answer: conservation of forest rather than collecting timber was become a more important goal. The various governments have realized that the people who live near the forest must be involved. Next question. Discuss how the changes in forest management in the colonial period affected the following groups of people: shifting cultivators, nomadic and pastoralist communities. Answer: shifting cultivators. Ban on shifting cultivation. As shifting cultivation was non-profitable to the government, therefore the government decided to ban shifting cultivation. As a result, many communities lost the sources of their livelihood. New occupations. Due to a ban on the shifting cultivation, most of the people had to change their occupation. Some started working as laborers. Large and small rebellions. When the colonial government proposed to reserve 2/3 of the forest in 1905 and banned shifting cultivation, people get together and revolted against the decision of the government. Nomadic and pastoralist communities. Reduction in pastures. The various laws which were formulated had an adverse effect on the pastures. Through various acts, some forests were declared reserved. No pastoralist was allowed and access to these forests. Other forests were classified as protected. In these, some customary grazing rights of pastoralists were granted, but their movement was severely restricted. Next question. Mention any 4 factors which prompted the Samin to revolt against the Dutch. Answer: the Samins let down on their land when the Dutch surveyors came to classify communal and salary lands and used to cry out, Congo, I own it. They cut teak despite Dutch efforts to guard the forest. They refused to pay taxes, fines, to accept wages, and to leave rented or communal land when their leases expired. Some piled stones on the roads which they had been ordered to build. Next question. In the colonial period, cultivation expanded rapidly for a variety of reasons. Explain any two. Answer: need for raw materials, and food problem. The Britishers encouraged the production of commercial crops like jute, sugar, cotton, and indigo, as these were used as raw materials by the British industry. They promoted the production of food grains as these were required to feed the growing urban population. Unproductive forest. In the early 19th century, the colonial state thought that forests were unproductive. They were considered to be wilderness that had to be brought under cultivation so that the land could yield agricultural product and revenue and enhance the income of the state. So, between 1880 and 1920, the cultivation area rose by 6.7 million hectare. Next question. What is deforestation? Why is it considered harmful? Answer. The disappearance of forest is referred to as deforestation. Forests are cleared for industrial uses, cultivation, pastures, and fuel wood. Clearing of forest is harmful as forests give us many things like paper, wood that makes our desk, table, door, and windows, dyes that color our clothes, spices in our food, gum, honey, coffee, tea, and rubber. Forests are the home of animals and birds. They preserve our ecological diversity and life support system. That is why deforestation considered harmful. Next question. What are the new development in forestry? Answer. Since the 1980s, governments across Asia and Africa have begun to see that scientific forestry and the policy of keeping forest communities away from forest has resulted in many conflicts. Conservation of forest rather than collecting timber has become a more important goal. In many cases across India, from Mizoram to Kerala, dense forests have surveyed only because villages protected them in a sacred groves known as Sarnas, Devarkundu, Kan, Rai, etc. Some villages have been patrolling their own forest, with each household taking it in turns instead of leaving it to the forest guard. Local forest communities and environmentalists today are thinking of different form of forest management. Next question. Why did the people of Bastar rise in revolt against the British? Answer. They revolted because the British government tried to reserve the forest, which deprived the people of their rights to collect forest products and to practice shifting cultivation. Moreover, people were suffering from increased land rents and frequent demands for free labor and goods by colonial officials. People of Bastar cannot collect forest products. The terrible famine of 1839 to 1900 and 1907 to 1908 forced them to revolt against British authorities. Next question. How did the spread of railway from 1850s in India create a new demand for timber? Answer. The spread of railways from the 1850s created a new demand. Railways were essential for colonial trade and for the movement of imperial troops. To run locomotives, wood was needed as fuel, and to lay railway lines, sleepers were essential to hold the tracks together. Each mile of the railway track required between 760 and 2000 sleepers. From the 1860s, the railway network expanded rapidly. The length of the railway tracks increased tremendously. As the railway tracks increased, the need of timber also increased. More and more trees were felled. Contracts were given to individuals to supply timber. These contractors cut down trees indiscriminately. Railway tracks were soon devoid of forest. Question. What was the Bellington's system? Answer. The Dutch wanted timber from Java for shipbuilding and railways. In 1882, 280,000 sleepers were exported from Java alone. However, all this required labor to cut the trees, transport the logs, and prepare the sleepers. The Dutch first imposed rents on land being cultivated in the forest and then exempted some villages from these rents if they worked collectively to provide free labor and buffaloes for cutting and transporting timber. This was known as the Blango Distin system. Next question. Give any three reasons why cultivation expanded rapidly in the colonial period. Answer. Cultivation expanded rapidly in the colonial period because the British encouraged the cultivation of commercial crops like jute, sugar, wheat, and cotton. They tried to increase the yield of agricultural products. They tried to increase their revenue and enhance the income of the state. Next question. When was the Forest Act passed in India? Why did it cause hardship for the villages across the country? Answer. The Forest Act was enacted in 1865 and was amended twice in 1878 and 1927. It divided the forest into three categories: reserve forest, protected forest, and village forest. The best forests were known as the reserve forest. Villagers were not allowed to take anything from these forests, even for their own use. This caused great hardship for the villagers. All their daily practice, such as cutting wood for their houses, grazing their cattle, collecting fruits and roots, hunting and fishing, became illegal. People were now forced to steal wood from the forest. If they were caught by the forest guards, they were punished. Women could not collect fuel wood from the forest. Forest guard and constables harassed them. Next question. Why the Dutch adopted the scorched earth policy during the war? Answer. The Dutch adopted the scorched earth policy during the war because the First World War and the Second World War had a major impact on forests in India. Working plants were abandoned and trees were cut freely to meet British demand for war needs. In Java, just before the Japanese occupied the region, the Dutch followed the scorched earth policy, destroying sawmills, burning huge piles of Ghent teak logs so that they could not fall into Japanese hands. Next question. When did Dietrich Brandis suggest for the improvement of forests in India? Answer. Dietrich Brandis suggested that a proper system had to be followed. People had to be trained in the science of conservation. Felling of trees and grazing land had to be protected. Rules about use of forest should be made. Anyone who broke rules needed to be punished. Brandis set up in 1864 the Indian Forest Services. He also helped to formulate the Indian Forest Act of 1865. Next question. Explain the term scientific forestry. Answer. In scientific forestry, different types of natural forest were cut down. In their place, one type of tree was planted in straight rows. This is called a plantation. Forest officials surveyed the forest, estimated the area under different types of forest, trees, and made working plans for forest management. They planned how much of the plantation area to be cut every year. The forest area was cut down, then to be replanted. Next question. Discuss in brief the Samanist movement of Indonesia. Answer. Around 1890, Surontiko Saman of Radandul village, a teak forest village, began questioning state ownership of the forest. He argued that the state had not created the wind, water, earth, and wood, so it could not own it. Soon, a widespread movement developed. Amongst those who helped organize it was Samin's son in law. By 1907, 3,000 families were following his ideas. Some of the Samanists protested by lying down on their land when the Dutch came to survey it, while others refused to pay taxes or fines or perform labor. Next question. The people of Bastar speak different languages but share common customs and beliefs. Discuss. Answer. The people of Bastar believe that each village was given its land by the earth, and in return, they look after the earth by making some offering at each agricultural festival. In addition to earth, they show respect to the spirit of the river, the forest, and the mountain. Since each village knows where its boundaries lie, the local people look after all the natural resources within that boundary. If people from a village want to take some wood from the forest of another village, they pay a small fee called Devsari Dand or man in exchange. Some villages also protect this forest by engaging watchmen, and each household contributes some grain to pay them. Every year, there is one big hunt where the headman of the village in a pargana cluster of villages meet and discuss issues of concern, including forest. Next question. What were the different forest acts made by Britishers to control the forest? Answer. The different forest acts made by Britishers to control the forest were: in 1864, the Indian Forest Act service was established. In 1865, the Indian Forest Act was passed. In 1878 and 1927, the Indian Forest Act was amended. The Act 1878 made three categories of forest, that are reserve forest, protected forest, and village forest. Next question. How did the changes in forest management in the colonial period affect the life of plantation owners? Answer. The changes in forest management in the colonial period affect the life of plantation owners as the colonial power introduced plantation agriculture in India. They flourished as large areas of natural forest were cleared to make way for tea, coffee, and rubber plantation. It was done to meet the demand of Europe. These areas were given to European planters for plantation at cheap rates. Next question. Who were the Kalangs? Why did they attack the Dutch forts at Joanna? Answer. The Kalangs were a community of Java. They were skilled forest cutters and shifting cultivators. They were so valuable that tea could not be harvested without them, nor could king build their palaces. When the Mataram kingdom of Java split, the families of the Kalang community were divided equally between the two kingdoms. When the Dutch colonized Java, they forced the Kalangs to work under them. The Kalangs resisted by attacking the Dutch fort at Joanna, but the uprising was suppressed. Next question. What were the consequences of the forest laws which the Dutch enacted in Java? Answer. In the 19th century, when it became important to control territory and not just people, the Dutch enacted forest law in Java. These laws restricted villagers' access to forest. After these acts were imposed, wood could only be cut for specified purposes such as making river boats or constructing houses, and that too only for specific forest and under close supervision. Those villagers who grazed cattle in young stands, transported wood without permit, or traveled on forest land with horse carts or cattle were punished. Next question. Mention a few products that are got from forest. Answer. Forests provide us with innumerable products. Forest trees provide wood or timber, as it is called. We make furniture like tables and chairs from wood. Wood is also used to make doors and windows. Paper is made from wood pulp. Forests are a store house for many herbs which are used as medicine. We get gum and rubber from forest trees. Rubber is a very important industrial raw material, so It is our duty to protect forest. Next question. What are railway sleepers? How many sleepers are required for 1 mile of railway track? Answer. Railway sleepers are wooden planks laid across railway tracks. They hold the tracks in position. Between 1760 and 2000 sleepers are needed to lay 1 mile of railway tracks. A single sleeper is approximately 10 feet by 10 inches by 5 inches, that is 3.5 cubic feet. Wood for these sleepers came mainly for the Sindh forest. As the railway was fast expanding, there was need for more and more trees to be cut. In the Madras Presidency alone, 35,000 trees were cut annually for making sleepers. Next question. Mention a few commercial crops. Why are they called so? Answer. Jute, sugar, wheat, and cotton are called commercial crops. These crops are used in industries as raw material, so they are called commercial crops. Cotton is used in the manufacture of textile. Sugar is used to make chocolates and various other confectionery products. Wheat, like sugar, is used in the confectionery industry with biscuits and bread being the major product. Next question. Why did Britain turn to India for timber supply for its Royal Navy? Answer. This disappearance of the oak forest in England created problems in timber supply for the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy could not survive without a regular supply of timber, so the British started their search in all the colonial countries for a regular supply of timber. Their search resulted in the cutting down forest in India. Within a decade, a large amount of timber was exported from India. Next question. What was Samin's challenge? Answer. Surantiko Samin belonged to a Renduntul village in Java. The Renduntul village was a teak forest village. Samin challenged the Dutch, saying that the state had not created the wind, water, earth, and wood, so it could not own it. Samin's challenge developed into a widespread movement. Samin was supported by his family members. Soon, 3,000 families followed his ideology and protected against the forest laws of the Dutch. By lying down on their land when the Dutch came to survey it, many other villagers refused to pay taxes or fines. Some of them even refused to work for the Dutch in cutting trees.